everyone. So I am here today with a Red My Lips video, which I did one last year, so you can always check that one out, but I'll be going over some of the same things in this video. So to start the video, I'm going to kind of explain what Red My Lips is, what the goal of it is, and all of that stuff. And then I'm going to show you my recommendations, and then I'm going to end the video with lip swatches. So I will put in the description box below the times when each of those things start. So if you already know what it is, you can just skip ahead and watch that section if you want to. Before I get too far into the video, I do want to warn everyone watching. This is going to, well, especially the first part of this video where I explain what Red My Lips is. I am going to be talking about things of a sexual nature, and I will be mentioning rape and sexual assault. So if that offends you in any which way, or if you aren't comfortable hearing things about that, or if that somehow triggers you and you know you aren't comfortable hearing that kind of conversation, or just anything like that, I want everyone to be as safe mentally as they can be. So this is your warning. Please, if you think you might need that warning, heed it. If when listening to that warning you were like, huh, well, I think I'll be okay, don't risk it. Just don't. Now that I've kind of put the disclaimer in there, you might be wondering, what is Red My Lips? So straight from the Red My Lips website, Red My Lips is an international non-profit organization designed to raise visibility and awareness about the realities and prevalence of sexual violence while combating rape myths and victim blaming. We run an annual global awareness and action campaign where our fierce and fearless supporters rock red lipstick all throughout the month of April, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, to demonstrate solidarity and support for survivors and to start important conversations with people in their lives. So that pretty much sums it up fairly well. I am personally taking part of this for several reasons. One is the statistics of a young woman my age being sexually assaulted in some way are way too high. And just because it hasn't happened to me doesn't mean that it won't. As awful as that is to say, it's always a reality that you kind of have to face. And anyway, plus there have been people in my life who have gone through sexual assault, so I really want to support them, and I feel like this is a great way to really start a conversation and without necessarily saying anything. So there were a few key terms in that definition that the Red My Lips website gives that I really want to clear up. So they focus on sexual violence, rape myths, rape culture, and victim blaming, and also survivor support. So the last one is fairly obvious. Survivor support is helping people who have been sexually assaulted. Okay, but so as far as the other terms that go, you might be like, what the heck? So, from justice.gov, because I decided to be fancy and go with an official website, sexual assault is defined as any type of sexual contact or behavior that occurs without the explicit content of the recipient. Falling under the definition of sexual assault are sexual activities as forced sexual intercourse, forcible sodomy, child molestation, incest, fondling, and attempted rape. Needless to say, rape is sexual assault. Putting that out there. So I think the really key word there is explicit. The other day I saw a wonderful, wonderful post where someone mentioned the tea metaphor. That's what it was, the tea metaphor, in regards to sexual assault. So they said if someone comes into your house and you offer them a cup of tea and they say yes, and then you go through and you boil the water, you pull out the cup, you pull out the tea from your cupboard, because, you might not know where it is if you don't drink tea that often, which you should, because tea is good. But, you pull out the tea, you brew the tea, all of that. But then when you bring them the tea, if they're, I don't know, like asleep or something, because they just came from, I don't know, a 12-hour flight or something, you're not going to pour the tea down their throat. It's the same thing with sexual assault. Just because someone says yes once doesn't negate the fact that if that person is unable to say yes farther on down the line, that makes it rape. Which means if you are making out with someone and planning to get it on, and then for whatever reason they pass out or fall asleep or whatever, you are not given permission to continue with those sexual activities. It's just flat, no, don't do that. So that's what sexual assault is. Then comes another term which I felt should be defined, and that was rape culture. And as defined by just Google, rape culture is defined as a society or environment whose prevailing social attitudes have the effect of normalizing or trivializing sexual assault and abuse. This is really important because it's happening all over the world, but I feel like it's happening a lot in America, and I might just feel like that because that's where I am right now. But examples of rape culture include, say there's an athlete who's been charged with sexual assault, and you're like, oh no, they didn't do it, they couldn't have done it. Rather than being like, I'm not going to continue to support them until they are found not guilty by a jury of their peers. Another example would be people who allow that girls let themselves be raped. I'm going to go on a rant about all of that in a little bit when it comes to the victim blaming definition. So, also rape jokes, that's an example of it. Sexual assault preventative education programs, which are designed to prevent sexual assault, which rather than saying, don't sexually assault people, they say to girls, this is what you should do to prevent getting sexually assaulted. There's something fundamentally wrong there. You don't tell someone, this is what you do to prevent getting murdered. You tell people, don't murder people. So there's the divide there. Another excellent example would be, of course, Robin Thicke's song Blurred Lines. And you might think, well, it's just a song. But that song, its lyrics are so just... Everything we hear has a way of getting into us in a subconscious manner. So if you listen to really angry, hateful music, you're going to be angry and hateful. If you listen to happy music, you're going to be happy. I mean, it's not 100% guaranteed. I'm not saying that. Because, as a person with depression, listening to happy music doesn't make me happy all the time. But if we're playing things like that on the radio, and it comes to the, Billboard Top 100, and young boys are hearing You Know You Want It, talking about, and things like that in a song, what is that teaching them, really? So that's another example which encourages rape culture. And then we move into victim blaming. So victim blaming, as defined by uslegaldefinitions.com, it is defined as a devaluing act where the victim of a crime, an accident, or any type of abusive maltreatment is held as wholly or partially responsible for the wrongful conduct committed against them. Victim blaming can appear in the form of negative social reactions from legal, medical, and mental health professionals, as well as from the media and immediate family members and other acquaintances. Traditionally, victim blaming has emerged in racist and sexist forms. The reason for victim blaming can be attributed to the misconceptions about victims, perpetrators, and the nature of violent acts. So, let's break that down. Let me give a few examples of victim blaming. Victim blaming is looking at someone and going, you know, her skirt's really short. She deserves it if it happens. Victim blaming is saying, well, you were drunk. You must have wanted it. Victim blaming is saying, well, what did you expect hanging out with him? It's anything that shifts the blame from the person who committed the crime to the victim. So, an excellent example that just happened quite recently is the Brock Turner case. If you don't know the Brock Turner case, look it up. There's like oodles of information out there. But long story short, he's a guy at Stanford. He raped a woman while she was unconscious. He got sentenced to jail time, but it was only like 18 months, and then he got out within I don't even remember what his actual sentence was, but he only served maybe a quarter of it. It was ridiculous. And another example of victim blaming was something that Brock Turner's father said. He said, "My son shouldn't be blamed for 15 minutes of action. His whole life shouldn't be ruined. Blah, 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 blah." The father's entire statement is disgusting. I'll post a link to it below, but basically he's saying, don't blame my son. He's just a teenage boy. Boys will do what boys do. So those are the terms that I really wanted to define to kind of let you guys know exactly what Red My Lips is about. So now that that is been explained, I'll go through and show you my recommendations. The fun part. I do want to mention 3 products, even though I don't have them in red. They're Colourpop products. The matte formula, the satin formula, and also the matte X formula are wonderful. The matte X feels like literal velvet on your lips. It's wonderful. It almost reminds me of the NARS lip pencils. You know, that kind of consistency. Highly recommend it. And then the satin ones are similar to a liquid lip, but they're much more comfortable. They don't dry down completely. They're not transfer proof. So it's kind of like the beginner entry stage liquid lip. And then the actual liquid lip, the matte lip, I'm mentioning because it's so cost friendly. Both the satin and the matte are $6, and then the matte X is $5. They have excellent shipping. I've never had a problem with them, so I just wanted to mention that. Throw that out there if you're looking for something that you can buy online that'll be there relatively quickly. So then, going into lip liners, I find that, you know, I don't use lip liners all the time when I'm wearing a red lip, but I know some people just feel a lot more comfortable with a lip liner. So my 2 recommendations are the Jordana the Jordana easyliner for lips in Sedona Red. It is a pretty warm-toned red. That's what it looks like. However, I do think it's pretty just neutral when it comes to red. And plus, I feel like whatever I put on, you don't really notice. So this one is found at Walgreens and it's like $2 or $3. So it's wonderful. I also really like the Urban Decay Ozone lip pencil because this is a clear. So not only will it go with your reds, it'll go with whatever else you want it to go with too. Okay, and moving on to my actual lip products recommendations. So as some of you know, I am participating in a project pan called Project Bye Bye Bye. And so I've already chosen the 4 lip products that I'm focusing on. They're NARS Cruella, a little mini. Not that one. Jeffree Star Redrum, and Butter London Strawberry Fields. So Cruella is a crayon kind of formula. It's super comfortable, and that is what it looks like. It's kind of like a true red, like Cruella de Vil red, I guess you could say. Redrum is a liquid lipstick. It is a brighter red. That is what it looks like. And then finally, Butter London Strawberry Fields is actually kind of more of a sheer red. So that's what that looks like. So those are the ones that I'll personally be focusing on. However, since it's me, and I have a lot of red lipsticks, I wanted to share a few other recommendations. Which I'm probably going to regret when it comes time to lip swatches, but oh well. So, first off, if you want to wear a red lip, but you've never worn a red lip before, I would recommend either going with something a bit more sheer, like the Butter London one. Another one that I had was the Wet n Wild one. I think it was Wet n Wild. It might have been e.l.f. But I had it as a recommendation in last year's video, so check that out if you want to see what the other sheer one was. But I also think you can get away with wearing like a brighter pink. So an example of that would be, let's see, this is Tarte Lip Surgence in Wonder. I'll just put it next to the others up here. And so it's kind of more of like a fuchsia color. And then I also think Bachelorette by Kat Von D is an excellent option. It's more of a kind of like a raspberry strawberry color. So it's a lot more pink, especially when, let's see if I can focus this. So as you can see, this is a lot more pink than Redrum or Cruella. So there are those two. One of my personal favorites is Anastasia Beverly Hills American Doll. It's a super just true red. I consider it more of a blue red. So even just putting it on my arm, I'm like, oh, I like this. Another option would be, let's see, this is Black Moon Cosmetics Deranged. What are you doing? Leave that alone. Oh, I love you too. And this is more of kind of like a brown toned red. I like to refer to it as like dried blood red. That sounds really gross, but okay. So this one is Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is Black Moon Cosmetics. So they're both really nice. Actually, let me take off my bracelets before I get too far. Oh, I've made a terrible mistake. Look at that. I have it all around my bracelet. I'll clean that in a little bit. I was even thinking I should take... Oh, I'm an idiot. So then as far as traditional lipsticks go, I don't actually have one, but I would highly, highly recommend pretty much anything by Wet n Wild. Their formulas are so good. They are also really cost friendly, so check them out. They have like at least 5 or 6 red options. And you can find them at Target, Walgreens, CVS. I'm pretty sure you can find them at Rite Aid. I don't know. I don't have a Rite Aid. But, you know, they're all over the place. Another recommendation that I have is, that I actually own, is the NYX Butter Lipstick in Mary Jane's. This is a super, super comfortable red, and that is what it looks like. It's this one, right? Yes, it's this one. And I know this isn't available anymore, but I think it's a really pretty color, so I'm going to mention it anyway in case you have it, or in case you're able to find it by chance. Or I know Temptalia, the website, has a bunch of dupes that are really similar, but the Alice in Wonderland collection by Urban Decay, Ursabeth, is an excellent option. It's a bit more matte than the Butter London one. Okay, so as you can see, oh, that works. Hello. I'm an idiot. My arm doesn't bend that way. There we go. Okay, so this one is the Wet n Wild one. No, not Wet n Wild. I'm stuck on Wet n Wild. I'm sorry. This is the NYX one, and then this one is Ursabeth, which isn't showing up. Let's see if I can focus it. There we go. That's what they look like. Oh, hi! I love you. Oh, yes. Hi. Leave that alone. No, you're not allowed to wear lipstick. Because I'm pretty sure it could be toxic for you. Please stop. Hey, leave that alone. And so final 2 recommendations are Rust Sinner from Lipstick Queen. Let's see, where's a good place to swatch this? Swatch it down here. And this is kind of, it's similar to Black Moon Cosmetics Deranged, but it's warmer. And then I also would like to recommend Kat Von D's Chula, especially if you're not super comfortable with reds. I think this is an excellent option. It's kind of more of a terracotta color, but like I said, I think as long as you put in the effort, it counts. So here is Lipstick Queen Rust, and then this one is Chula. So those are the recommendations. I'll go wash off my hand and then I'll be back for the lip swatches. So, be right back. is it for today's video. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out Red My Lips. They have an Instagram and they also have a website. And I highly encourage you all to participate. Just because I feel like the more people that do, the more impact it'll have. So yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful whatever time of the day it is, wherever you are. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.